What's up, everybody? It's your host, RJ. I am here with the one, the only, Clay Garretson, owner of Make Ready Dallas, friend, father, husband, but first and foremost, a man of God. And I'm excited to see where this interview goes. So everybody give a round of applause for Mr. Clay.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, what is up, dude? I'm stoked to have you on. I know people are like, well, how do y'all know each other? Honestly, we don't. But we're getting to know each other.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I was going to your church only for a worship night, never been there. And I had just started following you because I love just your content from what you do in the construction world, me being a construction owner as well, just what you do. Right. And I seriously, I think I followed you that same day, maybe the day before. And then I'm sitting down there for worship and you walk by. Right. And you're a noticeable dude. And I'm like, I think that's Clay. And my assistant was with me and she was like, who's Clay? And I was like, that dude right there. And so I went up to you and we just kind of hit it off. Right.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
One of the things we talked about beforehand was I don't like the bougie church celebs, right? If we can say that, or
Absolutely.
just any social media celebs that have that bougie mentality. Well, oh, cool. You were like, hey, DM me, let's chat. And so
Absolutely.
instantly, like, we bonded, connected. And so I was like, man, let's get him on the show. And so first, man, thank you for coming on.
For sure. It's an honor.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So let's get into it. Introduce yourself, what you do, what you're about, and then we'll kind of go from there.
My name's Clay Garretson. I own Make Ready Dallas, or I'm one of the owners of Make Ready Dallas. We're a design build firm here in the Metroplex. We do high-end renovations, custom home builds. We're in development now. We're developing a really big, cool project in Heath right now.
Okay.
It's kind of a new venture for us, but it's super exciting. So I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a business owner, I'm a leader at my church. Still trying to figure it out, but God's got me in position.
And you're 40, right?
Just turned 40. So.
Sweet, man. I'm 42. I freaked out about it at first, and now I love it. Right? Like a mentor once told me, nobody is anybody until they're 40.
Absolutely.
Right? Everything is just highlights, and then the real hits at 40. And I know we were laughing about in the elevator that you tore your ACL and all that stuff. And
the day after I turned 40.
The day after.
Mm-hmm.
So sweet, man. Like, so tell me, like, how some of your background, how all that started, why you're in construction, why you're doing all these things. Like, just tell me your story.
I went to college. My last year of college, I got in trouble.
Okay.
Or actually 2 years before I graduated college, I got in trouble. I fought my case for a couple years. Wound up having to sign for some time. The judge let me walk the stage. I walked the stage at University of Texas at Dallas. I was originally at University of Houston, and then I moved to Dallas.
Okay.
I walked the stage. Literally, as soon as I got off the stage, I had to go turn myself in.
Wow.
So did a little bit of time, nothing crazy, nothing to brag about. When I was incarcerated, I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? Who am I? You know, I had been in the streets for a long time, sold drugs most of my life. So it was like, I didn't really know who I was. Like I thought everybody knows me as the guy. Like what am I going to do? You know? And so I'm like, I have a worthless college degree. I'm a felon now. I got 4 felonies. What am I going to do? So I was like cleaning my cell one day, and I'm like, man, start a cleaning company. Like, super cheap overhead. I can buy the cleaning supply. I would always keep my bunk real nice. And I was in a dorm. I wasn't in a cell, but
yeah.
I got out, got a little easy job, like doing nothing. And then I went and bought cleaning supplies at the dollar store, and I got on Craigslist. This was back in the day when Craigslist was, and
I haven't heard that in a while.
Man, and I just started sending out emails and making posts, and then I started cleaning construction sites, like myself, at night, during the day, during the morning, like post-construction cleaning. And then as I started doing that, I started meeting painters and tile guys and clients, and I'm a pretty trustworthy person and likable person. So, people would be like, hey man, you don't know a painter? And I'm like, yeah, I know a painter. It's like, I just got to where it was kind of similar to the game.
Yeah.
Back then you're like, you need something? I can
You're the
get
plug,
it.
wherever,
Get it. So you just start making connections and marking stuff up and making profit. And that grew. And within a few years, I was like a full-fledged construction company, general contractor. And I still to this day, don't even know how it happened. I mean, only God. That's the only way it happened.
That's so true, man. I tell people, like, YouTube taught me how to be a contractor, honest, right? My grandfather, he was one. And
Mine too. Mine was too.
but I didn't know construction,
Yep.
but I also didn't want to know. I
No, I
thought
didn't want to.
construction meant
Loser. Or
loser
yeah,
or you're one paycheck away from being broke,
absolutely.
right? That was my mindset. So I like didn't want to be a part of that. And then now I love it,
Oh,
and I
man.
only want to do that, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, kind of go into that identity. So you're coming out of college, still don't know who you are, get locked up. Like, what is that transition?
Man, you know, when I first got locked up, I realized I wasn't like I realized I didn't belong there. I don't want to say I wasn't like the people in there, but I realized I didn't belong there.
Yeah,
So I started doing, rather than playing the victim, I started self-reflecting on, okay, how did I get here? Like, where did I go wrong in life to get here? And I started tracing back just my whole entire life of where sin came into my life. And I, it's I'll be totally transparent. When I was young, like I don't remember the exact age, but I was sexually abused by someone not in the family, but just someone randomly.
yeah,
So like I realized when I was locked up, man, like sex is the root of all this. It was the root of my people pleasing. It was the root of wanting people to think I was, not famous, but like wanting, pride, like ego, and
yeah.
and if I have the drugs, I can have all the girls and all that.
Right,
So I
right.
traced it back to that, and I had, you hear about rape victims and stuff, and they don't come forward till years later, and you're like, why wouldn't you just come forward? But you literally, as a human, learn to block it out, and you act like you completely forget. So when I was sitting there in that cell, I remembered what happened, and I'm like, whoa, like. So then I started addressing that, and just pinpointing where it all came from,
Mhm.
and then trying to heal from that moment. And this is another crazy thing. When I was inside, the guy that I clinged to the most was an older guy. He was from New York, and I was big into fitness, and
Yeah.
he was swole and was always working out, and I was working out, and he knew the Bible like nobody I've ever met. And we would just study the Bible all day. He would teach me and teach me and teach me all day. And like, this dude knew everything. And I'm like, dang, he had just got out. He had been serving like 8 years, and he got out and he was back in. And he said he was in there for 6 DWIs. So, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, I get it now. I see, like, I'm seeing clear. I understand the Bible. I understand how I got here. I know how to heal. And then
That's so
he gets
crazy.
out, and one of the guards comes to me and is like, man, you don't know why Piazza was in here, right? And I was like, yeah, 6 DWIs or whatever. And he was like, nah, he was a child molester.
Oh,
And so at that moment, it made me realize God took the most destructive, devastating thing that took my innocence, and he used that same predator to lead me to Christ, to teach me the Bible, to give me it. So it was like at that moment, it was just like,
oof.
it was beautiful. And
Right.
it's just crazy how God works. God
Had
can
you
use,
have known, you probably wouldn't have
absolutely
been
not. I would have had nothing to do with
right.
him. No, I would have had,
Well, you know the game, right? Like when you're locked up, that's if somebody has one of those messed up cases, like you know
absolutely.
what time it is, right? And so, man, I too was incarcerated 649 days, and it changed my life.
Sure.
I tell people I'm not glad that I went, but I'm thankful that I went because I got humbled, and the Lord
Sure.
really broke me. And something I was telling you beforehand is the moment that broke me was it was during COVID. And so we got one 5-minute call a day. Sometimes they answered, sometimes they didn't. A lot of times my kids wouldn't, right?
Right.
Because the mind wants you to think that the world stops when we get locked up.
It does.
But no, it doesn't,
No,
right?
it
Like
keeps moving.
kids grow up,
Mhm.
people move on, all the things. But my son asked his mom to ask me a question while he stood there and listened. And the question was, Dad, if you knew what you were doing would separate us, why didn't you stop? Clay ate my lunch that day. Like if nobody else was around, if I wasn't in prison, I would have been crying like a baby, right?
Yep.
But in prison, you can't dry wet tears, right?
Yep.
So you're just there. And I went to my bunk and I looked up at just the top bunk, and I was just there staring. And I was like, God, I'm stripping my faith, not that I don't believe, but I need you to show me that you are who this Bible says you are. So I'm going to start at Genesis and I'm going to read all the way to Revelation. And I'm going to trust that everything you say you are, you still are. And man, he started to do it. And the other side of prison and the other side of jail, state jail, whatever is true freedom.
Sure.
If you allow yourself to be broken, right?
You can either get worse or you can get better.
For sure, man. I remember, so I knew the Lord beforehand, lost it after my divorce and all those things of just kind of like trying to find myself. And so now as I mentor men and just spiritually fathered young men and even some of the older ones, one of the things is men don't know who they are.
No.
Right. And so it started just my heartbeat of heal the boy, get the man.
For sure.
So there's tons of guys out here with childlike behavior, acting childish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they haven't addressed that child trauma, the wounds or whatever. And so you never hear anybody say, well, he's acting like a F man. It's always you're acting like a F boy, right?
Yep, or
and
a child.
A child, right? And so after my divorce, there was no one better at the F boy than RJ, right? I had money in my pocket to flash all these girls. Oh man, I got a bunch of bread or whatever. Truth be told, it was for child support and for rent and my truck payment, but I would refuse to pay those things to impress people that didn't even matter.
That didn't care. Yep.
That didn't even care. So,
yep. And that wouldn't be there for you regardless anyway. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So now tell me, so crazy thing about you, you went through the divorce. Mm-hmm. We talked about that, how that just eats our lunch, right? For years.
It was worse than it's the worst.
And it's not even just the person, it's just what it does to the heart and everything right there.
Well, it affects every aspect of your life. It affects your finances. It affects your family. It affects your children. It affects your confidence. It affects your guilt, your shame, your church people look at you like it literally rocks every.
You lose friends too, right?
Absolutely.
Because like they don't know how to pick sides, right? And they feel like they have to.
Right.
I remember one of my closest friends, thank God we're back to being good friends, but him and his wife thought because I was the one who stepped out of the marriage that they had to choose this one. And I don't fault them at all, but you tend to lose people right there. And it took me a while to realize that I wasn't in love with my ex-wife, but I was in love with the family part of it. Of having baby girl run up to me when I pull up in the drive, the boys wrestling in the living room after supper, all those things are gone. So now tell me how you bounce back, because it's 2025 and I'm single and I'm mentoring tons of men who are single and they don't know how to adapt to the singleness of this, right? Because all social media is at your fingertips and you can get booty, whatever you want, right? If you want, but your story is different.
For sure.
So you were celibate for, go ahead.
Over 3 years.
Say that louder so everybody.
Over 3 years. And I mean.
So the men in the back in here, over 3 years, which is, some people can't do it for 3 minutes, right? So.
And you got to do it one day at a time, just like any addiction. But, and I mean 3 years, like 3 years for real, like no porn, no set, like you can't have one without the other. Like if you're looking at porn, you're not celibate. Like you're still just as dirty as if you might as well be out there doing it. It's the same thing. So what I realized was this was my second. I have a son from one girl that wasn't married to her. Okay. And now I'm divorced from my second wife or my first wife, but it was 10 and a half years or so. And I'm like, man, I failed twice. I got two. There's no broken marriages in my entire family lineage. Wow. So I'm like, here, I'm the first one. Now I got 2 baby mamas, basically. And I'm like, the problem is me. I got to figure out how to fix this. Yeah. And part of me was scared, like in a sense that I've been married for 10 and a half years. Now there's all these apps. Like you said, I have access to women like never before. Right. And I was scared. Like I knew myself well enough to know that if I even got a taste of it, I was going to be gone. Like I was going to be off the scales. Like, wow. I just know, like, it's like an addict knows, like I can't have one drink if I'm an alcoholic or I'm going to go. So It was like, I knew if I dabbled in that. So, I just was like, I'm not going to do it. Like I knew if I wanted the right woman in my life, I had to become the right man. Mm-hmm. And so I just focused on healing. I focused on rediscovering who I was, working on my business, restoring my relationship with my kids, just did everything I could do to stay busy, to not think about that
Was that the
codependency.
key? You said staying busy, because a lot of
Absolutely.
the common denominator with these younger guys is like they will go to their rooms playing video games, and now they're at night just scrolling.
Hmm.
And before you know it, the scroll comes into
Yep.
a third sock being found in
Absolutely.
the bed, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I want to kind of go into what, where did that trigger your mind to say, hey, I'm going to be I am going to work on myself. Because it's easy for you to say that you were the problem, but in those moments, it's so hard to identify that you are the problem.
Yeah.
Mentally, where did you take yourself to say, you know, hey, it's me, Clay, that's the problem. And I got to fix myself before I can find who I really want.
Well, it's crazy how timing works. Like, it was right before COVID. It was like 6 months before COVID. So like, I was terrified at first of women in general, because it was like, man, I just got out of this horrible situation, and it's still, there's still a lot of pain involved in it. And so at first I was like, I don't want anything to do with a woman. And then
Yeah.
that turned, COVID hit, and then it was like everything shut down. So there really wasn't a social life. And then the most important thing from there that happened to me was getting, and it's crazy how God says He'll prune the branches that don't bear fruit, but getting rid of the people in my life that weren't bearing fruit, and getting in community and getting around guys who wouldn't let me, like, that. First of all, if I called them, they don't want to go to the bar or the club.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, they're going to hold me accountable to, you know, if I say, hey, I'm talking to a girl. I had a real close friend, somebody I really admire, and he would always be like, bro, you're not ready. Like, what are you doing? Because your flesh wants to, especially when you've been in a marriage for a long time, your flesh wants to be free and go meet girls and stuff. And he'd be
Yeah.
like, bro, you're broken. Like, you're not ready. Like, you're not. And so I had the right men around me that kept me in check, which that's why community is so important when you're trying to walk right. And then just fear of failure, like that fear of fail. Like, I hate failing. And when I fail at something, I like to study why I failed, study how to succeed. And then I want to come back and you know, like, conquer it. Like, I'm not going to fail again. I failed once. So it was like really digging into relationships and how to lead right, and what leading looks like, and just getting a deeper understanding for what I did wrong, and what the choices I made that I'm not going to make, and just healing, man. Like, and that took years. I went through regeneration at our church, which is a big,
Is that like Celebrate Recovery or what?
it's a newer version of
Okay.
it, but it's way more in depth. It's a 12-step program, but it's exploded. It's a huge ministry at Lake Point now, and I'm one of the leaders there now. But
Okay.
going through that program, and what it really boiled down to is God broke me down. He broke my marriage down. He broke my finances down. He broke me down. He isolated me by myself. You know, like, I moved into a condo by myself. Like you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, your kids aren't coming over every day. Like, so it was really just Him breaking me down, and then little by little rebuilding me up. But like, I tell men all the time that I love walking guys through divorce now, especially when they're dealing with a Jezebel spirit or a narcissistic spirit or what. I
That's so
relate
neat.
to that.
No, that's neat, because I think there's a lack for that,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like we talked about, is like divorce is not to bash women, like, you know, because us
it
men
can go both
yeah,
ways. Yeah, for
but
sure.
I think sometimes we forget that men have feelings and hearts too,
Mhm.
and we're taught to just be tough and suck it up,
Stone cold. Yep.
right? So men don't show emotion. So boy, pick yourself up and
Yep.
go and walk and handle business, right? But there's men that are broken, and so the next relationship is not going to be better. It's going
No,
to
they're
be even more
They're
broken.
bleeding, and you're going
Right.
to go into the next relationship and bleed all over the next
Yeah,
person.
and so it's crazy that you talk about that. For me, my deal when I was locked up, I started asking God, Lord, I want a wife.
Me too.
And I didn't before then. I used to, my pickup line was, I'm not husband material and you don't want to be with me. I learned that women want to sometimes settle a man down. So
Fix him.
what my transparency was became my pickup line.
Mhm.
And so now I really didn't want a wife. I wouldn't want a girlfriend. I just wanted to sleep around, right?
Right.
But now when I'm locked up, I started to pray, God, I want a wife. I want all these things. And I remember hearing the audible voice of the Lord say, I can't give you a wife until I teach you how to be a husband.
Absolutely.
And that ate my lunch. And shortly after that, I was telling you, it's a Sunday in prison, and it pops up on the screen. And there's a conference showing, a church conference, and it's 3 years old. but I was at that church conference, and they are introducing a book called Relationship Goals. And little did I know the Lord would have my spiritual dad send that to me the very next day.
Wow.
And so I started just to read it. Shout out to Michael Todd for that book. But I just started to read it and really allow the Lord to break my heart instead of me allowing myself to break women's hearts because of my brokenness. And so, but now let's get into, you're no longer single.
No, I'm married, happily.
And I'm jealous of that, bro. I'm jealous of it. Lord knows I want one. The Lord knows he has one for me. I just gotta, I gotta pace myself and not open up doors that the Lord doesn't want me to open up. 100%. And so talk to me about you and Jen, because y'all story is very different, very beautiful. When you sent in some of your marketing pictures, the first one I saw was you and your wife. And what I joke about is a lot of times any man, not even just in the church world, but any man, we tend to, post a picture of our wives, or y'all post a picture of y'all's wives, and instantly some of us can tell, oh, dude, they're not in love. Miserable. They're miserable. Like, thank God I'm not married. But with y'all, it was like, oh my gosh. And it got me like scrolling your IG. It was like, man, they truly are in love. So talk to me about how y'all met, what you did, then your story, like your life now.
Absolutely. So I wasn't dating. I had become content with being single. And so my best friend lived in Miami at the time, and I would always go out there and go fishing like nearly every weekend. Every other weekend that I didn't have my daughter, I was in Miami, and we would go fishing and do all that stuff. So I had always thought like, man, what if I meet a girl in Miami? Like, it just was it was like a desire. I never spoke it. I never said it, but God knew. And 3 years into going to Miami all the time, I was like, man, I'm going to get on one of these dating apps. I was like, I'm kind of healed. Like, I've been single, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. And finally I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I got on there and I looked through. And
so your demographic was Miami.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in Miami. I'm looking through the app.
I was in Miami a couple of weeks ago.
Women are incredibly superficial there. Not all of them, but a lot of the ones on the apps were. So I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm out. Yeah. So I turned the app off, deleted it, went to bed. Next day, flew back to Texas. I was in life group on Tuesday night at Lake Point.
Okay.
And I get a message while I'm sitting in life group, and I look down, and it's like somebody on, what is it called?
Slack.
Bumble.
Oh, Bumble.
Yeah, it was somebody on Bumble messaged you. The app looked like it messaged me. I looked at it, and I was like, whoa. And then I read it, and she was like, hey, I found your profile. Stop. I want a Christian man. I saw that you're a Christian. I read your profile. She was like, hit me up sometime or whatever. And so I messaged her, and I was like, hey, I'm at church. I'll call you. I'll message you when I get out.
Oh, you didn't wait?
No, I messaged her right there. And she wrote back, if you're at church on a Tuesday, you must be in a life group. And I wrote back, you know what a life group is?
Oh, shoot.
And she was like, yeah, I'm in one. And I was like, I wrote her right there, so I'm going to marry you. And literally that night we started talking. We talked all night. Talked for the next 2 weeks. I was headed to St. Thomas 2 weeks after that to go spearfishing. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be flying through Miami. I was like, I'll just stop and talk to you. And there was a big hurricane coming through the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So I landed in Miami and saw her and fell in love. And it's been a wrap ever since. We were married We were married a year and a couple months later. It was just so perfect. Like, to love someone and have that reciprocated back the same way you from communication to your goals, your morals, your ethic, like everything just lined up perfect. And there was never any doubt between either one of us, her family, my friends, her friends. I tell guys that are in the dating scene, like, when you meet a girl, take her around your friends and family and get their opinion of what, like, because sometimes we don't see things that other people see.
You're so right. I have basically a committee. Some of my best friends, and I have 5 sisters, which is wild and crazy. And I'm Mexican, so they're not the nicest all the time. But once they love hard. For sure. But this committee is basically checking me to make sure I'm not being fake.
Yep.
So that I'm not offering a counterfeit version of RJ, right? And so,
or that they're not being fake. They can.
For sure, right? For sure. My sisters can pick up. I'm telling you, I think all of them should have been PIs, right? Instead of doing what they do. But I wanted to chat with you about finding Jen, because something that's been on my heart is a lot of us men, we're chasing the trophy, right? And forgetting the pillow. that we can lay our head on, right? Meaning peace.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that, and tell us about our conversation a little bit before we're.
For sure. So we talked about the verse that says,
delight yourself in the Lord.
yourself in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. And it's like what I tell guys that I'm walking through regen with, they're going through divorce. I'm like, if you will not pursue a woman, if you'll be a seeker and pursue God and pursue obedience and pursue faith, you don't have to worry about, like, he's going to give you everything you want and everything you need. And he's going to far exceed your expectations by any means. Like, I could have never dreamed of a woman like I have now. Like, that wasn't even.
Because you got both. You got the trophy and the pillow, right?
I did, man. And it's crazy. And like, I have a real close friend that called me the other day, and he was walking a guy through a divorce. And he was like, man, I told him, I only know 2 guys who have ever done this. And Tim Tebow is one and you are one. But he was like, y'all became celibate. You really did it. And y'all got the most amazing. And it's like, it's an honor to be, named with Tim Tebow. But I didn't have to look. It came to me. It was perfect. There was no doubt. There was no fear. But there was lots of opportunities before then that I entertained. And one of the things I did whenever I failed was I made a list of non-negotiables when I'm dating. Like, whenever I do date, these are the things that are non-negotiable.
Not the non-negotiables.
Because
I have them too, right? Like, absolutely. I think everybody has a list, right? And here's mine. I don't want to give my list, but I believe everybody has a list. But there's 2 or 3 things on there that should be your non-negotiables.
Absolutely.
And those are seriously non-negotiables.
100%.
Because anybody can be pretty, anybody can be sexy, but unless you're these things, I don't think you're beautiful yet. Right. And so go into your non-negotiables, then I'll go into mine.
Well, you have to learn to be equally, like, you have to understand thoroughly what equally yoked is. And equally yoked can mean so many different things, but on the faith side, it means you both have to be spiritually mature or somewhat in the same race together. Like, but anyways, I heard a pastor I used to go to the Porch, which is at Watermark, a long time ago. So JP was the pastor there, and he gave a sermon one time, and he was like, you got to write down 10 things that you're looking for in a wife or a husband. Mm-hmm. And if they don't have at least 7 of those, and you can't figure that out on those first 2 conversations of dating, whether you even meet them or just talk to them on the phone, you should be able to ask the right questions. And this is where I learned what discernment was, which I never knew what that was. Mm-hmm. But learning how to ask the right questions, and you can find out within the first couple of conversations if someone is even remotely close to what your non-negotiables are, your list or whatever. And so but having those non-negotiables and then learning how to walk away when they don't, that's a whole different story. And that's kind of where I was going with this.
Right, because a lot of us men don't have enough integrity to bounce.
Or they're pretty and we overlook it.
She got big booty and nice ass. I don't know how to walk away. Right. That's the common thing. Oh man, she has potential. But she's also Jezebel. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you overlook all these things. So I set these things in place, and I was pretty good at it at first. And then there was a couple girls that I had met, and I knew they didn't have these non-negotiables, but I was still entertaining it because I was lonely. I wasn't doing anything, but I was talking. And I remember I was sitting there, I was like, what am I doing? Like I know this is, so I cut one of them off. And then like a couple weeks later, I remember just telling myself, you know what, I'm good. Like my business is going good. I'm going to Miami. I'm fishing. I'm snowboarding. I'm surfing. I'm traveling. I'm doing all this stuff. Like, I don't even need a girl anymore. I'm content. I'm good. Yeah. And it was like literally a month after that, she came. And so it was like, I think not pursuing and not looking is a big thing. If you're looking, you're not going to find it. Like you can't look, even though it says seek and you'll find, like, or, he who finds a wife, like, you have to be available, but I don't think you should be searching for it. I think you got to let it, once you get in your purpose and you become content with being alone, you kind of get rid of that codependency feeling. And that's really what you want, is 2 healthy people in a relationship. Neither one's codependent. You both have your own lives, your own careers, your own money. And it just, you come together and you just make a force, a team. And we've been blessed to do that. But my non-negotiables were, you want me to actually say
give me at least two.
Obviously, a relationship with Christ, being actually involved in a church, like not just going to church, but being involved, whether you're in a life group, whatever, like some kind of involvement that you actually read your Bible. Like, we're going to go on a date. I might come to your, let me see your body. Let me see if you highlight, like, let me see if you take note.
Right.
Like, I want to know that. And then I wanted someone that had a relationship with their father.
Yeah. So those are some amazing non-negotiables. For me, it's, of course, they have to love the Lord. For me is come hell or high water. I need to know that that woman is going to be on her knees praying to the Lord, for everything, right? Whether it's our finances crumble or something that we're praying and intending for, like she is not one I have to worry about. Oh, I'm going to pray. No, I know she's going to pray.
Absolutely.
The other one, I do want them to be active in the church. But then for me, that my third non-negotiable, she has to be a host of people where she loves people to the point. I mean, I'm Mexican and we love to have parties that aren't just 30-minute parties. We have 6-8 hour parties, right?
You ever been to a Dominican party?
I have not, but we're going. Miami, here we come. But yeah, no, but I want that. And then something that the Lord knows is for me is my non-negotiable without her telling or me telling her, I want her to be a lover of activities, whether it's sports, outdoors, or whatever.
Absolutely.
But I've learned one of my non-negotiables for me in my pursuit for women or whatever, I don't want to tell them the blueprints of my heart because sometimes they'll become that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I fall in love with the counterfeit version of this person.
Absolutely.
Because she's become everything that I said I wanted.
Yep.
And she thinks that she needs to be that instead of just be herself.
Right.
But you said your last non-negotiable was you wanted to know what their relationship with their dad looks like.
Yep.
So let's dig into that because that's something that goes along with heal the boy, get the man. It's heal the girl, get the woman, right? And so
Absolutely.
a lot of, for me, I've noticed that if women don't have a relationship with their dad, there's a wound that not even a boyfriend or a husband can even come close to fixing.
Right.
So talk about that.
I mean, I think that goes, it affects their relationship with God a lot of times too. It's like, if I can't trust my earthly father, how can I trust the father, heavenly father? Or if I couldn't trust my own dad, how can I trust this man? And I think there's a wound that if not healed, you can heal from that. There are women that have healed from that, but I think that's where you get into a lot of this name calling and deliberate disrespect and manipulation and hatred and all these things that can come from they're probably emotions that these women have towards their earthly father that now get projected onto you because they compare you to him. Like, if you have a good dad, or maybe not even a good dad, but if you have a relationship with your dad and you have respect for your dad, then you generally respect the man in general, the figure of the man. Like, you have some kind of understanding of a man's role, the man being the leader of the house, the man being the provider. If you never had a father in your life or you had no relationship with your dad, it's gonna be really difficult for you to understand that, hey, a dad gets up in the morning and goes to work and provides, and a dad comes home and fixes stuff around the house, and a dad, pays the bills and all those things that men need from a woman, which is respect. And then the woman wants love from us, which the love and respect thing is a whole different conversation. But you can't expect to get respect from a woman who doesn't respect her own father. I think it's going to be really difficult unless they've healed, unless they've come to know Christ, which some have. So there's always an exception. But that was one thing I learned and I studied, and I realized that, hey, I want someone that has enough respect for their father that they know that I deserve respect if I'm leading the way I'm supposed to be leading.
Oh, that's powerful. I didn't know this until actually a couple of years ago, that in my pursuit to find validation in women, I was actually violating them because I had a mother wound. So like women having the father wound, I had a mother wound.
Yep.
So I would self-sabotage relationships if that woman sounded anything like my mom did growing up, or she even had a behavior like that. Oh shoot, I'm going to bounce because I don't want my heart to hurt.
Yep.
So I want to control this hurt. And so I would rather self-sabotage something that could be beautiful and forever because I didn't trust that woman to be present.
And it's probably the exact same thing with women who didn't.
Right,
It's
absolutely.
the same thing. They see a sign of you being a failure or not being perfect, or they look to you as their father. Like they think you're going to be their savior, or they think that you're not only going to be their husband, but you're going to be their God and you're going to be their father and all. And we can't live up to that. Like we're trying to figure it out.
It's not sustainable, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, I wanted to get into just the construction side, the business side.
Okay.
Now of you're successful, but that doesn't mean that you have not experienced hiccups.
Oh no, I've had.
And so talk to these men who want to level up right now, right? From, dude, I'm 40, you're 40 now. 25 looks a lot different now than it did back then.
For sure.
And so men are trying to level up, whether that's because we have this twisted mindset that we have to make 6 figures, we have to be 6 foot tall, all these things to get a woman, right? Scratch the woman part. Like, what advice would you give for men trying to level up at, say, 25 to 30 years old now?
First of all, it's your habits. It's how you manage your time. No successful entrepreneur watches movies, plays video games, and surfs TikTok all day. They just don't.
We just don't have time.
Right? No, we don't have time to do that. And so it's like learning how to manage your time, creating daily habits that become, or I think it's daily habits that become consistency or whatever you want to call it. And then just finding something that is truly lucrative, which I always tell people the service industry is the only guaranteed thing. And then giving it your all and never giving up no matter what. I've had crazy embezzlement from employees, just like you have. We talked about that. I've had a mistake made on a job that cost millions of dollars that I tried to fight my way out of and had to file bankruptcy in 2015. So I've been through a chapter 13, and everybody around me was like, man, you just need to give it up. This ain't working. You need to go get a regular job. And I just kept going and kept fighting. For one, I'm a felon and I had no other option. Two,
same.
For two, I mean, I maybe could have found it. Two, it was just like, no, I'm bringing the money in. I just got to figure out how to manage it and build an infrastructure that can. So it was like, I just never gave up. And eventually you just learn, you make so many mistakes and you learn from so many mistakes that eventually you start either getting tougher or smarter, or you start building processes and procedures, or you start revising your contract to prevent these mistakes from happening. And then just all of a sudden you're just making money. And all of a sudden everything changes. And all of it is faith-based. Like, I couldn't have done it without God. None of it is, there's been so many doors opened in business that I did nothing. The door just opened, and
that's
God
exactly
will open
how
doors we can't open. And
absolutely, and shut ones that we cannot shut ourselves. Right, man. This summer, we hit a pretty big hit. Customer wrote us a pretty big hot check, and it broke us completely. And I remember the Lord, months before that, telling me, "I want you to give more than what you give on your tithe." And I was like, "All right, how much more?" And it was just $100 a week. And little did I know that that would be the vehicle that would help me become disciplined in my faith, disciplined in my testimony, disciplined in my just my tithe, in my dependency on God. And so when that check hit, the thing that when the check bounced, I didn't want to stop because I knew I heard the voice of the Lord say, "Continue to give."
100%.
And I remember, Clay, when I'm walking into church one day, I hear the Holy Spirit say, "I need you to give through the app and not through a check." And I didn't know why, but I looked up there and I looked up my checking account and I only had $180 left. And so my 10% was $18. And I was a mess at church and I'm freaking out because I have the kids and Chick-fil-A costs $60, right? Yep. So and they always want to go eat afterwards. But that night I had to drive the kids home to their mom. And then I was driving into my community and we have a pool. And I hear the Lord say, "Meet me at the pool tonight." And so when I went there, didn't know why he wanted to meet me there, but as soon as I stepped in the pool, the tears fell. And I just said, "Lord, I didn't ask to be in this position. And I know I heard you. And I just need you to do it one more time." And Clay, the very next day, no joke, within a 3-hour span, 3 of the biggest jobs I've ever done to this day.
Okay.
They called, "Hey, RJ, Culture has been awarded X project."
Yep.
"Hey, RJ, Culture's been awarded project 2 and then project 3. And I go with that as like the leveling up of us men has to be rooted from our dependency on Christ.
Faith, absolutely.
Right. And with that, I say there has to be integrity in that. Because I used to say I'm a man of integrity, but I was not a man of integrity with my finances.
Absolutely.
Right. Like you were in the game.
You can trust God.
I was a gambler, right?
Yep.
I learned to bet on God.
Yep.
Right. And so
trusting God with your life is different than trusting him with your finances. And our pastor always says, God can do more with you can do more with, or God can do more with 90% of your income than you can do with 100% of your income.
Wow.
That's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's the same with time. It's the same with the Sabbath. I had to learn. I used to work constantly, like 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, never stopped, never had time for family. It's like I had to learn to find balance. And also, just as important as tithing is the Sabbath. Like, you have to take a day
You
to
have
rest.
to, right?
Whether it's Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is, you have to have one day where you do not work. Like, and I don't answer emails. I don't do bids. I don't do invoicing. I shut it down. And you have to have that.
Yeah.
It just recharges you. For one, it's being obedient.
Mm-hmm.
For two, it just gives you rest, and it gives you a restart. You know, if God rested, then who are we to say that we
Right.
don't need
Why
to
wouldn't we rest?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. But the tithing thing is huge, man. I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, like, you want to see return, tithe. It works, and it works. We could sit here and talk about miracle stories all day, because I have so many just like that, where I'm about to lose everything, and the next day, the biggest, most profitable job in the world
Out of the blue, right?
calls me from Instagram. Like, that was when I got my social media going. Was I had the biggest, most profitable job I've ever had. Right after my divorce, when I gave everything up in the divorce, I was like, same thing. Someone told me at church, give it up, let it all go, because I was fighting. I was trying to hold on to that, the equity and then the boat.
Yeah, for sure.
I gave everything up. And literally a month later, he gave it all back to me in one job, one contract, the coolest customer ever, the most profitable job. It was right by my house. Like, there's just so many miracle stories like that only God can get the glory for.
Right.
Like,
you can't point to Clay. I can't point to RJ. It's like, y'all know who did it, right?
Yep,
so
tea
it's tea time. Y'all's favorite segment where questions come in and Clay and I will rapid fire the answers. So here we go. Clay, you first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Go fire.
All right. What do you think freedom actually feels like? That's good. That's good.
Ooh, what does freedom feel like? It feels like I don't have to look over my shoulder. Mm-hmm. I am living with complete integrity, where I don't have to worry about what people will see when I'm not in front of the camera.
Absolutely. That's good.
Take the scenic route or hit the GPS shortcut?
I guess it depends. If it's during the work hours, I'm probably going GPS shortcut. If it's date night or weekend or traveling, I'm going the scenic route always, for sure.
Okay.
So it just depends on the situation. All right. Forgive quick or process first?
Oh gosh, how come I got two heavy ones? I would go. I forgive quick.
Me too.
Sometimes to a fault,
Me too.
but I would rather just forgive, and I don't forget. I just forgive quick.
Absolutely.
For me, mentally, it's healthier.
Yep. Forgiveness is for us, not the other person.
Absolutely.
For sure.
What does being a man of God mean to you in this season of your life?
In this season of life, leading my wife right, first of all. Actually having my own relationship with God first. Mm-hmm. Second, leading my wife right. And then third, being an example for my kids on how I love my wife. I feel like you fix the family, which starts with the man leading the marriage. If you fix the family, you fix generations. Like, you fix everything. Like, all the problems in the world come from sin, which results in a broken family. So it's like, what I realize is if you can fix the family, you can fix everything, but it's really difficult to do. So just being consistent as the leader of the house and the leader of the marriage is where I'm at. So
Cool. Go ahead.
All right. What do you hope your kids learn from your journey, not just your words? So that's deep. That's deep.
Y'all set me up. What do I hope that my kids learn from me and not just my journey?
No, what do you hope the kids learn from your journey, not your words? So basically, what do you hope they learn from your actions more than your words?
I ain't gonna cry, but I might. But it would be, I want them to see the behind the scenes of my faith. They see me on my knees at my bed, whether it's a good day or bad day. I say that the Lord is worthy of my praise. And so I want them to see the faith journey of my life. Absolutely. Where I'm so dependent on God that I don't know how to live the life that he has for me without him.
Absolutely.
And so I want them to see just my dependency on him.
Too.
All right, that's it for tea time. Thanks for all those questions. Continue to submit them to us, and we will read them as we get them. Now it's time for my favorite segment called Mic Flip, where I become the guest, and now the guest becomes the host, asking me whatever question that will make me go public. Here we go.
All right. So you're looking for a wife. What areas of your life do you think you need to do better in preparation for the wife?
Ooh, I've never been asked that question. I used to say I loved my dad bod, right? But that's the lazy part of RJ, not wanting to be disciplined in that, because I have a desire for my wife not to lose herself. And so it's almost like a double standard, right?
Absolutely.
So that would be my physical, but also just I want to be consistent. And one of the best ways I know how to love people is words of affirmation. And I am a believer that words can bless and words can curse. Yeah. And our pastors last year, they had a segment, and Pastor Taylor said something that Pastor Robert is the one person that can make her feel like $1 million, but he's also the same person that can hurt her with words. And so I want to be consistent in my words, even in my pursuit, to her being my date, to her becoming my girlfriend, to her becoming my wife. I want to be consistent in my words.
What is the biggest misconception or the most important thing you learned since you became a believer that you could teach your kids or other people? Maybe it's something that you thought was right and it turned out that you misunderstood it or something along the lines of that.
That's crazy. I just had this conversation with one of the mentees that I'm just walking life with. It's the misconception is that you have to always have your shirt buttoned up and you have to be perfect for God to love you. Absolutely. Right. And the thing I live by now is that it's impossible for God to love me more than he loves me right now. Right?
Beautiful.
Like, whether I mess up today or whether I do good tomorrow, like he is so consistent in his love for me, it's impossible for him to love me any more than he loves me right now.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. Okay. Last one. If you could contribute one thing that you removed from your life that helped you grow in your faith the most, besides the obvious, like not drugs or like what's one thing that you removed from your life that helped catapult your faith or helped grow in obedience or that was something that seemed small, but when you removed it, it became such a big stepping stone for your faith?
It's my people pleasing. It's I was so caught up in finding my identity, I became whoever I thought anybody wanted me to be. Whether you wanted me to be rich, whether you wanted me to be a gambler, whether you wanted me to be a womanizer, I became those things because I was searching for validation. So now, as I removed those and truly found my identity and who I am, and I'm happy at 40 and I'm more secure than I've ever been in my life, it's played such a big part of my life where someone can't say something about me and I'll be all rattled and I'll worry about it. I'm content and I'm happy and I love it, right? Yep. And so I love me some RJ. But
very similar for me too. That was great. That was a good answer. So,
well, Clay, man, I appreciate you being on the show. It's been a blast. I promise you, you'll be back. The first time you come on, you're a guest. The second time you come on, you'll be family.
Absolutely.
And man, I just welcome you into the Going Public podcast fam. I absolutely enjoyed it. Going Public fam, I need you guys to go follow Clay Garretson at Make Ready Dallas and Renovate Clay on all social media.
That's it. Everything. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Last 30 seconds. Close us out, Clay.
Man, it's been an honor. We're so alike in so many ways. I think this is going to really be a blessing to people. You're living in your purpose. I commend you for that. It's been an honor to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity. So God bless, and I hope and think that you're going to do big things with this podcast. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. All right, that's it for us today. Remember, like, share, comment, but most importantly, subscribe to us at Going Public Podcast on all of our social media platforms. Hey, stay tuned. Can't wait to hear from you soon. Later.